Mow your own berm. Whatever the super city has achieved, it's been a disaster for Auckland's berm standards. They're running amok, wild and unkempt, utterly out of control, anarchy. Where the old Auckland Council used to mow the berms themselves and the order was magnificent to behold, now berm control is left to the people who live in the properties beside the berms, and frankly many of them aren't stepping up. It's so bad Dr. Livingstone may now be in some Auckland berms looking for the source of the Nile. It's so bad people need flying foxes to get to their cars. It's so bad street signs are disappearing beneath grass. Might not be quite that bad, but it will be if people don't start taking their berm obligations seriously. Tristram Clayton in Birmingham.
In central Auckland, the battle lines have been clearly marked out. This is a turf war requiring sharp blades and a precision armoury. At stake, the future of the classic Kiwi berm. According to the concise Collins, berm comes from the Old Norse berm, a narrow path or ledge at the side of a road. In New Zealand, the grass verge of a suburban street, usually kept mowing. And it's those last three words that are causing passions to rise across the city.
A bit pissed off.
Some of my people live in absolute dust bowls.
My client was being harangued by his neighbours.
It's just not cricket. I've been getting quite a number of calls from our constituents saying what's going on in our environment and in our local street, the berms aren't being cut, you know, what's going on here? And then you tell them that in fact the service is not being provided any longer, and they're shocked. And they just can't believe it. I
mean, the bottom line is that we made the decision quite some time ago, and there was a discussion at that time, $15 million to mow berms. I would much prefer that some of that money was spent, for example, on sealing roads in Rodney, where we have to put up with people coming up from central Auckland.
Hostilities broke out in July when Auckland Council voted to stop cutting the grass berms in neighbourhoods of the old Auckland City Council, which had been the only council in the region to provide the service. But some say it's already having a negative impact. You've actually noticed a bit of friction, have you?
A bit of tit for tat, yes. Yes.
Well, tell us, what have you been saying?
Well, I was mowing this lawn the other day here, inside, and I was packing my gear up and a woman walked past and said, "Would you please tell your client to mow his lawn, his verge?" And I thought, well, that's a bit snooty and rude.
Ashton Gregory says it's also creating problems amongst neighbours.
But it's a bit unfortunate the council are no longer taking responsibility of verges, because what about the people that can't afford a contractor to come around and mow their lawn, and what happens if they haven't even got a lawn?
So this new council policy not to mow the verges is actually in your business interest, yet you're still against it.
I've got my social conscience says the council should mow their verges. Their verges, if I park on it, they'll give me a ticket, and that's the bottom line. Everyone's going, well, what's the next thing they're going to take off? The rubbish bins?
Local board member Peter Mose is also grassed off by the new policy.
Well, what's happening here is that the grass is just growing towards the centre of the footpath, and in a couple of months' time this footpath will almost be disappeared completely. Some people don't even own a lawnmower, and yet they're faced with having to maintain this wide berm.
He says litter, broken bottles and even vermin will begin to accumulate in berms that remain uncut.
The real issue is that it's council property primarily. It's a council's core service that it should be providing for the community. And my issue is not with the homeowners. It's not their responsibility to look after council property. We pay our rates.
But Councillor Penny Webster says get off the grass. Berm-ageddon is just election year shenanigans.
I mean, at the end of the day, most people get someone in or mow their own lawns. What is the difficulty of going out onto the sidewalk and going up and down, up and down? It probably takes 5 minutes. And if you've got pride in your place, you do it anyway.
Stay-at-home mum Caroline Hawke says it's not always that easy. Like a lot of people say, oh, you know, when you mow your lawns, just go out and mow your berm. What do you say to those people?
I say it's not as easy, especially with the fact that when you've got a big lawn to mow, like your front and then your back, and then you have to come right up here.
Because this is quite a big berm, isn't it?
Yep.
Do you have a mower?
No.
You don't even have a mower?
No.
So what are you going to do?
I'm not sure. I have to ask friends or family and see if they would help out.
And are you in a situation where you could just go out and buy a mower?
No.
Pretty tough to afford that and then the petrol, yeah?
Yep.
She says her elderly neighbours will find it even more difficult.
Well, I just feel for them because they've got Kiwitea and Parry Street, so I'm not sure what they're going to be doing because they've got 2 big verges to mow. So.
And they're an elderly couple?
Yep.
But even in the heat of battle, the combatants do seem to be looking for a truce. Auckland Council says people who are unable to mow their berm can apply for assistance from Auckland Transport. There's even a possibility of local boards coming up with their own scheme, funded by a targeted rate rise. In the meantime, it's help thy neighbour or suffer the consequences.
Tristram Clayton, shot by G-Dog Finley and cut by Emmett Giles.